Should it be a diamond or a 4-3-3? Should it be a diamond or a front three? Let's go around the panel. Let's see what we make of it. Clearly, at the moment, for whatever reason, the diamond is not working, and it's not suiting our style. Clive, I'll go to you first.
Yeah, it's just not right. It's not working. It's making the worst of good players. We've got the position between Lapsley, arguably the most creative midfield playmaker we've got, and Oates doesn't work on that situation, and therefore you're getting worst from both of those two players. 4-3-3 works well in that situation, and I think when we've played 4-3-3, we've been a threat. As soon as we revert back to this crinkly diamond that we have, we lose that threat. And I can imagine why the strikers we've brought into the club get frustrated, because we're not sticking to a format. So I know I'm not a professional football manager. I don't pretend to know everything about the game, but I know this: it works better as 4-3-3 from what we've seen this season. End of me.
Cam.
The frustrating thing is that whenever I've seen us play, the diamond work going forward, but it's just the defensive line. Like the amount of chances that we created in them first 4 games was ridiculous. You think going into the Bradford game, us and Bradford had created the most chances in the league, and it goes out and plays out a 5-goal thriller. It's fantastic to watch, but it's just that defensive instability that I think shows the weaknesses in the diamond. I don't think it gives us enough width going forward. So you think if you've got sort of like Callum Gordon playing instead of Elliot Hewitt, you've got that bit more width going wide, sort of like just getting up the pitch. Take that out of the game, Elliot Hewitt sits far too back for me to play that sort of style. But who do you play in that position when Gordon's not fit? I think my background's gone off. But it's that lack of depth in defence, I think, that really makes holes in the diamond, because we just relying on the midfield too much because we can't rely on the defence, if you get my point.
Nath, what about you? What's your take on it? I think we've got an even split so far. Where are you? Which side of the fence are you? Where are you going? Are you going Salford or are you going Edwinstowe?
I'm going Edwinstowe. I'm 4-3-3. However, I do see the benefits in the diamond, but I think the problem. I actually agree with Cam a little bit. It's working for us going forward, but I think the opposition have learned how to exploit us in that. They see our weaknesses, and in that formation, I think we're more exposed with it. So I think it's more of a fact that not necessarily what we're doing wrong in that formation as such. I think it's the personnel not working with it. And then the opposition know exactly where to hit us, and they're taking advantage of it. So I'd like to see the 4-3-3, and I hope to see it on Saturday.
Yeah, I completely concur. I actually disagree with a little bit that you said in there. I don't think it's working for us going forward as much as it can be. I think we can be much more of a threat than we have been. And I think a lot of the key hitters, a lot of the key players who have been pivotal to our success, more so last season, are not getting enough out of that diamond. They're not performing in it because they're almost out of position and having to cover and to almost, have to play a completely different role.
But I also think, sorry, just to cut in, I think creating chances is what we're able to do in that diamond. It allows them, the midfield players, to push a little bit higher up. It's just the width that's then the issue. You think the amount of times Stephen Quinn's out of position because he's covering here, there, and everywhere, and I don't think it's down to the midfield that the diamond's necessarily failing. I think it's down to the strikers not actually putting the bloody chances away. You think the amount of chances that we actually, realistically in a game, we do create, and how many we actually put away, and it makes the whole team look bad because we're not scoring. When you look at, like, just for the Bradford game, for example, or the Newport game, we were creating so many chances, we just didn't put them away, and then that was punished at the other end. It's just, is Clough going to stick with the diamond and then change personnel, or is he going to think like throw the dice, go front three, and it gives us that little bit more width, and that then gives us a little bit more cover at the back because because teams aren't going round the midfield like they were. So like when Andy Cook scored their third goal, that was down that right hand side because Elliot Hewitt was exposed. It's because the midfield was too narrow.
Well, there's my point. It's the fact that they are out of position. They're getting dragged away, and they've not got a safety bank, and we're not utilising as much as what we can. If you look at what we were saying towards the back end of last season, and that is that we've got one of the best midfields in League Two, if not potentially in League One. All of those midfielders could play in League One, but for whatever reason, it's not quite worked. When you had that bank of three, you had Quinn on the left-hand side of it, Clark on the right-hand side of it, and then Maris in the middle. But they were all sat central. They weren't drifting. Ollie Clark now drifts so far out to the touchline. Parts of the game he's sat in the Ian Greaves lower because he's playing that wide. And he's not that type of player. He's much more of a central focused player, someone who can bring the ball down and spray passes left, right and centre and see that vision. You're not going to get that from him when he's stuck out wide. And he's not the type of player that can go in, for me, beat a man and put a cross in. He's the type of player to break up play and to build play and be the engine.